Welcome. If you've seen these videos before, you know what's in store. However, if you haven't, then go to the playlist. Maybe the link will be in the description below. But yeah, I've been reading every Spider-Man comic and through these collections here. As you can see, this is the Secrets of the Petrified tablet, which is the 5th volume. It takes us through 1968 all the way to 1970. So yeah, we're at the end of the decade for Spider-Man, his first decade, the 60s. We've been through quite a lot, haven't we? So yeah, this is the 5th volume of the Epic Collection. Just wow, I'm organizing them. Not every Epic Spider-Man storyline in the main line has been collected in these yet, so later on you're going to see little different things. But anyway, this is one that you could skip if you want, because these stories aren't that interesting, but you might like my commentary. This comic includes Amazing Spider-Man number 68 to 85, as well as Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 5, and kind of 6. 6 is a compilation, is a collection, so it's a reprint crap, so it's not really anything noteworthy. So yeah, it's really 69 to 70, but the annual definitely came out in 68, and because they didn't want to put it in the other book, Marvel, gotta love them sometimes. The biggest thing about this one is that instead of there's some weird artist stuff going on in this book, because we got John Romita, who of course did the last 2 ones. We also got John Buscema, as well as Larry Lieber and Maurice Severin. I'm not exactly sure, as pencils and layouts, mostly Romita and Buscema. The art style mostly remains the same, so the problem is the storylines change drastically. We don't know there's a thing called the Marvel method. If Stan Lee is writing the story, the artist basically write the whole story, and then he'll write the dialogue later. And that means that the cohesiveness, continuity, in storytelling isn't as good because, well, one artist already was on there, and now we have another artist writing a random one-off story, and then Stan Lee writing his typical dialogue. We're going to be at the end of that Marvel method because Stan Lee, after the next book, will be his last. He wrote Spider-Man for quite a while. We are starting with Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 5. This is actually a cover I quite like a lot. And this annual is pretty interesting because it answers a question that I'm sure some people have Spider-Man. And unfortunately, they made 2 movies about this storyline. It works in this issue, but those 2 movies, they sucked. Sorry, Amazing Spider-Man fans, but I don't understand why anyone could like those movies. The original trilogy for life. This is definitely the best issue, at least from what I remember in here, because it actually is pretty interesting as compared to the movies that they try to tell the storyline in, where removing stuff, Peter discovers his parents, who he doesn't know anything about because he was a baby when they died. I like this one because it's pretty personal to Peter. You'll see a lot in these storylines because of the inconsistency with the writers, meaning the storyline's not as consistent, that you aren't going to focus on a lot of his personal life or really have anything to really do with what he's doing. It'll be, oh, here's a random villain, which there was in the earlier stories, but here he gets pretty bad. So it's nice to see a story where it's just driven by his desire to learn stuff, which is pretty interesting. Like, I don't know, it's one of those things you got to read yourself, because the movies did a terrible job of the storyline, and the comic is really good. The funniest thing is how he gets to where he needs to go. See, his parents were overseas, and they're in Morocco. So he's like, I'm going to get a flight with Mr. Fantastic here, the Fantastic Four, and I'm going to jump out the parachute, my webachute. That's what he calls it, webachute. He doesn't do that in later comics, but early on forgot that he can make web stuff. That was mostly a Steve Ditko thing, but hey, he's doing it here again. So while fighting and searching in Morocco, he discovers that his parents were connected to the infamous Red Skull. If you don't know who this character is, he's Captain America's main arch rival from the 1940s. If you didn't know, since the 60s, his parents were doing something during World War II. And if you don't know the Red Skull, well, he's a Nazi. So his parents were Nazis. So in case you're wondering, no, his parents were not traitors to their country. Turns out they were spies for their country. And they were working against the Red Skull, and the Red Skull had them die in a plane crash because he was pissed off when he discovered this. So yeah, that's mostly where the issue ends. He finds a card to prove that they weren't traitors, and he can clear their name, I guess. Maybe. I don't know if he actually does it because it kind of ends that. He also fights the Red Skull, and I guess they blow up. I didn't really go much into the issue, but Red Skull is actually a pretty good Spider-Man villain. But you know, he's mostly doesn't really work in the Spider-Man realm. But this story was pretty interesting. This is the last panel, and it looks really awkward with the way Spider-Man's head is. I don't know why they did that artwork, but oh well. These flat pages are usually supposed to be the most detailed page, but here we got this really kind of awkward up chin angle of Spidey. Oh, and this book's an annual, so they have a bunch of little bonus stuff, like, what if he could play sports? Okay, I don't know why he would care that much. I never really understood this, because I think they did the Ultimate Spider-Man. I haven't read that book, and it's on my bucket list. But, like, him doing sports stuff. If he's a nerd, he would not really care about sports. As one myself, I do not really care that much about it. He would also do them, not think about it, but whatever. Also, why is he not wearing shoes there? Like, come on, Peter, put some shoes on. We also get this. I don't need to explain it. Just look at it. And that was annual number 5. The annuals after this one would not be the same as before. I don't know. It's up to you if you really care for that. They're like supposed to be specials, but sometimes they were kind of lamer than others. This one is good. However, the next 2 will be reprints, and then they would stop doing them for a little bit. So there you go for the Spider-Man annuals for you all the little peeps out there who like them. Might as well cover it now, even though it takes the coverage showcases at the end of this annual, not really annual, the collection. But here is what the annual number 6 cover looked like. It's pretty cool, actually. I kind of like it better than the actual Sinister 6 cover. It reprints mostly the annual number 1, so we're not missing anything new here. If you want to see what that's like, then watch my original Spider-Man Great Power book. From here on out, we're covering just the main books, with issue 68, which has a student protest going on. It's a crisis on campus. And yeah, there's no brand crap here. No Spectacular Spider-Man magazine, just Amazing Spider-Man. But this is really about a protest. You see, Stan Lee wants to get with current day issues. And they're like, we need lower dorms for students. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they were protesting in the 60s. I guess, and they're like, well, fuck. Oh, the guys are like, fuck Whitey. They actually say that in the book. It's actually kind of interesting, but it's only really in this and the next issue and the Prowler issues that appear a little later. So don't expect any more of it. You think, oh, is what they're going to cover this? Oh, no, not really. They kind of drop it, and this new characters they have here are basically never really shown again because, like I said, the different storylines get shoved around. So yeah, most of these stories are actually revolved around the Kingpin, who is, like I said, a pretty good villain. However, here, he's like, I'm gonna fight all these guys, but they all suck, so they're all fired. I don't know why that cracks me up. That's really nothing to do with anything. I think it's funny. And then the police arrest the protesters, because, you know, the police are going to arrest protesters wherever they go. They're protesting this building that also has this petrified tablet that has secrets that the Kingpin wants, and Spider-Man's going to stop him. Next issue is issue number 67, Mission, Crush the Kingpin. Spider-Man fights the Kingpin while he's shirtless, because he wants to show off that he has a better body than the Kingpin. Not really, but, you know, it's kind of jarring to see it. Shockingly, after Spider-Man and Kingpin have their little spat, he actually gets arrested. And he's like, fuck this shit. Oh, and Gwen slaps the little kid for saying that Peter's a little bitch because he didn't want to join the protest. I don't know. Don't ask. The ending panel is so weird. He's like, I might as well be a menace. Spoiler alert, he doesn't do anything villainous. He just keeps it because he's going to wait for the right time to return it, I guess. I don't really know. It's, the seeker of this petrified tablet storyline isn't the best storyline in the world. Let's just say that. Though he does work a little bit of his magic by telling the police that Spider-Man's working for him and Spider-Man has the tablet. Well, he's trying to get the tablet back to people, but they're like, let's shoot him. And Spider-Man's like, I guess I'm going to keep this tablet. Next issue is issue number 70. Oh, I forgot. I'm rating these issues. I'll give you the ratings at the very end. How about that? We also get some lovely things this issue, like Gwen and Peter have relationship problems because she is not that well defined of a character and he acts a little bitch every time she's near him. I do not care for this relationship because Gwen is such an undefined character in this storyline. Like I said, Mary Jane's way better. I'm not even saying that's a joke, but they actually gave her a character. Gwen has no character. She gets mad at him randomly. Like, I guess she wants him to be a tough man. They don't relate or anything. She's apparently a science major, but we'll never go into that. That the college part is never even addressed. And, yeah, he's like, So, yeah, their relationship's terrible. And you're gonna see a lot of this fumbling. They mostly fight over stupid shit. And then Stanley could have done something interesting with it, like other writers have done, but no, he doesn't. Oh, Kingpin breaks out of prison pretty easily. He just, like, snaps the bar in half. Because he could have broke off his handcuffs, but whatever. So Spider-Man's trying to find a place with the tablet, and then he fights the Kingpin and all this other stuff. But, yeah, Kingpin chickens away. I guess it's okay for a Kingpin to chicken out, but Spider-Man, he's not allowed to, because he goes in a car driven by a random woman, who we will maybe learn about later. We'll see. Spider-Man's just pissed off for really no reason. He decides to just attack Jameson, who just happens to be there. It's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Just to say that, you can see the talk about panel there, but it's funny. So yeah, Spider-Man kills Jameson. No, well, not really. He just faints, because every character that's in Spider-Man has to faint, pass out, and go to the hospital. Because, I don't know why. Stanley or the writers, can you stop doing that? But now every character needs to faint over being too overstimulated all the time. Jeez Louise. Next is issue 71, and now Quicksilver. So there's this guy who's Quicksilver. He's a mutant guy. He's kind of evil, but kind of not. He has an ugly costume, and he's like, hey, Spider-Man's wanted. That can help me out, I guess. He can help capture Spider-Man. Maybe, I don't know. Things are looking up for Peter because Jameson's not working at the Daily Bugle. So that means someone else is buying pictures from him. And they pay and Robertson pays a lot better than Jameson, so he's really happy. Keep in mind, when he gets paid a lot here, he's going to claim about money problems later on. I don't know why he's spending money on, because he says, well, I want to pay for Aunt May stuff, so I just have money problems. Uh-oh. Yeah, not great writing. Oh, Quicksilver is like, I'm gonna fight Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like, oh, fuck you, dude. Your green costume's ugly. So is your haircut, dude. Like, why is your hair white? Fuck you. Oh, I forgot to mention, do you remember that tablet? The whole reason this whole book's named? Well, he's like, here you go, Captain Stacy, have this tablet. I don't want it. I don't need it. Oh, and then he beats Quicksilver because Quicksilver sucks. He's like, hey, leave me alone, buddy. And that's the end of the day. Next issue is issue number 72. And that's quite a good cover. I like that. Oh, the tablet, it's stolen immediately by the Shocker. Like, he just comes in the first page and he's like, fuck you, Stacy, I'm gonna steal your shit. Spider-Man then fights the Shocker for a little bit, but, the Shocker, he's kind of pissed off. He wants to sell this luscious tablet, and he's not gonna let Spider-Man get in his way. So Peter's like, bye, Aunt May, I'm tired of seeing you faint all the time, so go to Florida, because for some reason that's where I always send you. Bye-bye. See you later. Now, according to Peter, Gwen's beginning to act more like her old, yummy self. Don't need to explain that. Oh yeah, Flash Thompson's back from the war for a brief period of time. And Peter just, he still hates the guy. He's like, fuck you for trying to hit on my girl. He didn't, by the way. For some reason, they make you like Flash Thompson more than Peter in the scene, because Peter actually played Jackass. For no reason, I might add. Look, I thought they made amends or something like that. But no, he's like, fuck you, dude, I hate you! I hate you! He brings all that rage to fight the Shocker, who he put a tracker on later, and now he defeated Shocker because, he got webbed in the face. And now he cries over the ledge because, that's what Spider-Man does. In issue 73, we get introduced to one of the best Spider-Man villains of all time, Man Mountain Marco. He's such a great character that he only appears in 4 issues. No, I'm not even joking. This guy appears for 4 issues and never seen again. In other words, this character sucks. I mean, couldn't you tell by that amazing design that he was going to be a great villain? No, he sucks. Why is he on the cover? This character is so lame. I hate this guy. So Spider-Man's stalking Captain Stacy's bedroom like a creep. He's just looking at him through the window. He's like, give me answers, pal. He's like, I want to know where Shocker's things are so I can find this tablet. He's like, okay, I'll help you out. Unfortunately, the mean, menacing Man Mountain Marco is already at the location of Shocker's ex, who's wearing this nice purpley dress. It's very purpley. And he's like, I'm going to trash your apartment, broad, until you give me the tablet. But of course, Spidey saves the day, and this guy is pretty much a joke, because he's just a guy who's big, I guess. Being big makes you tough, I guess. I don't know. I guess it can be, but Spider-Man has, proportional strength with the spider, meaning that he's super strong. Also, I guess they have the wrong coloring here, because the skin tone for the black characters look really weird. They looked fine the last couple issues, but now they look really gray. I guess they got their bad colors at that point in time. Wah, wah. So, Man Mountain Marco, my favorite character of all time, actually takes Shocker's ex and tosses her out a window. I'm not sure if it's his ex or not, but, you know, he's like, try catching the broad, Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man saves her, but Man Mountain Marco, who I guess just ran away, I guess. I don't know. Is he a fast character? We don't really know. So, according to this power grid on the Marvel Wiki, he's got a speed of 2, which means normal. Apparently has a superhuman strength, okay, and apparently experienced fighter. Wow, but his energy projection is low. Like, come on, dude, get some better energy projection. Why am I looking at this? Well, apparently I thought it was important to look at. So anyway, we got this new guy who's looking for the tablet, and he has all these people go out. Find me the tablet. I'm an old-time man who needs the tablet. And yeah, the guy's like, give me this scientist from Florida who does biology stuff, because he'll sure know how to translate a tablet. And that scientist, well, he's Kurt Connors, you know, the lizard. And that's how the issue ends. This is issue 74, which is the next issue. It's featuring the fantastic secret of the Petrified tablet. The old man decides to give Man Mountain Marco a nice big old backhand, despite him being old and Mountain Marco having a pretty big strength and durability, as we saw earlier. It was really tough. This old man's going to give him the backhand, saying, fuck you, dude, listen to what I say. Oh, and Dr. Connors he just transforms into the lizard, kind of. Not really. I don't know why his family turns into it. It's not really explained. They're just like, oh, wow, sometimes I just turn to the lizard. Okay. Anyway, in order to find this tablet, Spider-Man's tracking some of the Silvermane's goons. There's a lot of traps set up for him. Spider-Man's like, I can take out these goons. No problem. After all. Yeah, he really doesn't lose battles unless it's against Dr. Octopus. These guys suck. I don't know, Spider-Man gangster stories don't really work that well. Compared to stuff like Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus stuff, which really isn't gang-related. It's mostly interesting characters fighting each other, rather than, oh, I'm a mobster. I don't know, it doesn't really work that well with Spider-Man. So they blow up Spider-Man as this evil guy smoking this evil cigarette takes away Connor's family, because of course they're here. Also, his son had randomly aged like a lot in off-screen. Lizard didn't appear that long ago. He did appear, not that long. You know what I'm trying to say. He was pretty recently reintroduced, but now his kid is like 10 years older. But okay. So not only did Connor's son age like a lot, but now he knows that he's a lizard. It's like, I knew a long time. This would have been more interesting, you know, if it wasn't in another storyline, maybe. Or better developed, but whatever. Now, the Silvermane, he's a pretty cool character, as he's able to waggle his finger at his people to say, do what I say. Oh, and for some reason, Harry, has this mustache for some reason. It looks stupid. And it doesn't really matter if you barely see him, or really any of these side characters. They barely appear, and they're like, okay, they're gone, bye-bye. We gotta focus on the Silvermane, and my favorite character of all time, Man Mountain Marco. So, what was the secret on the Petrified tablet that everyone wanted to know? Well, I don't know who the hell wanted to know this stuff. Only this guy just knew, apparently. But Dr. Khan's able to read it because it was a chemistry thing, I believe. I'm not too sure, actually. I don't really know. I'm not a scientist. Don't ask me stuff. He's like, well, down the hatch. So this immediately kills Silvermane and he dies. R.I.P. Just kidding. He's alive. Issue 75 is the next issue, and we get a very tragic death. Not only is it a tragic death, it's a death without warning. Spider-Man is crying on the cover. It's so dramatic that you'll be shocked who dies. Guess what? It's the character we were just introduced to. The character we have no care about. The character who's a criminal. The character that has no attachment to Spider-Man. So why would he cry about it? The world may never know. Also, he doesn't die like that either. So this cover is bullshit. If you couldn't tell, these stories I haven't been that into. They're less interesting. The drama, Peter Parker's life, isn't as interesting either. And so on and so forth. But hey, here's the Silvermane. He is now younger because he found the fountain of youth. And Man Mountain Marco is shocked that his boss is now a youngin' because he's stupid, remember? To showcase his amazing youth, Silvermane's like, I used to be a young scrapper, so fuck you, Marco. But then Spider-Man comes in to save the day, like always. Oh, and Dr. Connors runs away and he becomes the lizard again. Yeah, don't ask for the explanation there. The only thing that's interesting here is that while he got young at first, he keeps getting younger and younger. Now he's a younger man, and you can guess what happens. So the old man gets younger and becomes a little kid, going through puberty, and he screams. When I mean he screams, I mean he literally screams. Like, that's the biggest words I've ever seen in a Spider-Man comic so far. And yeah, he died. He doesn't exist anymore. Maybe he'll find, but maybe Spider-Man can find a little sperm swimming around in there. And this death is so tragic, it makes him facepalm. I don't know why this death is so tragic. Who the fuck cared about Silvermane? Anyway, Spider-Man quickly forgets about that character as he saves Dr. Connor's family, who cries because, you know, he's the Lizard again. So can you guess what the next issue is going to be about? No, it's not going to be about Mysterio. It's going to be about the Lizard. Issue 76 is the next issue, and we get another Lizard story. No, I don't mind the Lizard, but as you can tell by this point, the Lizard stick is getting kind of old. At this point, they had no reason for him to transform. They had no good ideas for this storyline. Peter and Gwen finally make up again. And let me see, is the relationship going to have problems again over something stupid? Yeah, it will. And they finally got the right skin tone color for Robertson there. Isn't that nice? He was looking gray at the last issue. Like, geez, what was that color? I would say this Lizard storyline is interesting, but it's not. Honestly, because they barely did anything with Connors and the Lizard without anything behind him. It doesn't really work that much. I'm a Lizard man who hates Spider-Man. Yeah, it's not very interesting. So Spider-Man fails against the Lizard because he doesn't want to hurt him, I guess. And then the Human Torch decides to save him because, you know, the Human Torch, of course, could get in the way. I would complain, but honestly, it's kind of fun to see the Human Torch again after he was, like, shoved into every Spider-Man comic in the early days. So it's kind of fun to see him come again just to ruin Spider-Man's shitty plan, by the way. Spider-Man, your plan sucked. So now the Lizard battle is finally interesting. Spider-Man's not trying to hurt the Lizard, even though the Lizard's super strong. It doesn't really matter what he does to the Lizard, since he'll go back to being Connors anyway. While Human Torch just wants to take him out because he doesn't know his backstory. Spider-Man, you're a wuss. Next issue is issue number 77, In the Blaze of Battle. I don't know how this even happened, but the Lizard goes on a boat and starts breaking it apart. That guy down there does not look happy. This part makes no sense because Spider-Man and Lizard get tossed in the water, and somehow Spider-Man's able to cut off his air supply despite the fact that this is supposedly an area where the Lizard is better at. After all, do you ever see Spider swim? No, but Spider-Man just cuts off his air somehow, and that stops him? I don't know. It's not really well executed in the panels or the dialogue. So after fighting the Human Torch, Spider-Man's like, get the fuck out of here, and he brings the Lizard up to an area to stop him back, you know. So the Lizard gets back to Connors because he uses dehydrating power, or CaCl2. Not CA, it's CaCl2. Yeah, I guess that stops the Lizard transformation. Okay. I don't know. Oh, and during this, his son decides he's going to stop the Lizard somehow, or stop his dad from being evil, and he just faints instead, because every human character has to faint in these storylines for some reason. Do these people just have weak hearts or something? So Spider-Man saves the Connors family again, and he just says, hey, have this CaCl2 here so you guys can worry about this Lizard problem again. And no, he doesn't do that. He just says, bye, see you later. Yeah, this issue was not very good. In issue 78, we actually get introduced to an actual Spider-Man villain that's actually going to be reoccurring that people actually know about. That isn't Man Mountain Marco. The Prowler in The Night of the Prowler. The issue starts with Spider-Man wanting to dial on the phone booth as Spider-Man. You could just go back to civilian clothes at this point, but he's like, I'm going to be out in the streets in public. But hey, at least you can take this dime from the sewers of my web. There's essentially no reason for him to do this, but it is kind of funny, so I'll accept it. So he mopes around because he sees that Gwen and Flash are like doing something. He's like, oh no, I'm getting caught! So he mopes and dopes and fights some random sailor guys, I guess. As he's moping and doping because of the problems that he creates for himself. I mean, this isn't even because he's Spider-Man, it's just because he sucks at communication. I mean, I can relate to that, but you know. And he's like, that guy up there, he's a better life than me! And the guy up there is like, I wish I could be like that guy down there. I was joking, that's how it's written. So this guy, I think he's a kid, maybe, I'm not sure. His life sucks right now. He can't afford rent and shit like that. And his girlfriend, maybe his girlfriend, I don't know, thinks he's a little wuss, something like that. And he lost his job because the guy was racist, I think. He's like, I'm going to use my technology to take over the world. Well, not really. And he becomes the Prowler, which... it's a pretty neat costume, I gotta admit. The green is a little weird, but you know, I like the purple. I like purple. So Peter, I guess, ran out of money after spending it all on fucking Florida trip for his aunt, who didn't really need it. He just wanted Zane out of the way, I guess. He's like, can you give me a thing, even though I could easily take pictures of me as Spider-Man or something? But Jameson's like, fuck, no! But that's when he runs into the Prowler, who just happens to be there. You see, the Prowler thought this would be a good idea to steal money and then, as his regular self, to give it back, and they'll be rewarded. Not a great plan. And that's where the story ends, and no turning back. In issue 79, Spider-Man dies. He doesn't, but, I like to make it dramatic. So for essentially no reason, Peter's like, the only way to become Spider-Man is to fake my own death. I'm facepalming right now. I don't... Yeah, John Buscema... His artwork's fine, but the way he writes his stories are fucking terrible. You can see a lot of charm he does, and I have not been doing most of these issues. And, yeah... Spider-Man throws stuff out the window like a fucking idiot. The reason I like these issues, though, because the Prowler's kind of a fun character. He's like, oh shit, I didn't think you were gonna die. I didn't mean this to happen. And they're like, oh shit, he's fucking dead. Because what else would they think? Like, wow, Spider-Man, you can now fight the Prowler. But you just fake your own death in front of the person who gives you money, essentially. Like, you gotta explain that to them. That's not gonna help you not fake yourself as Spider-Man anymore. I can't even speak. That's how stupid of an idea that is. So the Prowler uses smoke, and for some reason, Spider-Man's weakness is smoke. I never see that in any property or in these early issues, but it's actually a consistent thing where like smoke just fucks with him like constantly. He should wear a gas mask underneath that mask. That probably muffles his voice. That never happens in the movies either way. They always say, at least this mask muffles my voice. I've worn the Spider-Man mask. It doesn't muffle your voice. I don't know what the fuck they were talking about, but whatever. And I guess he's exhausted now, and he falls the fuck to sleep. Oh, and how does he explain to the employers how he survived? Well, Spider-Man saved him. Whoop-de-doo. Oh, and Peter and Gwen have relationship problems. I miss when he was dating Betty. I know I was complaining about Betty and that, but, at least she had some personality. Fuck, Gwen is such a flat fucking character. The Prowler and Spider-Man want to fight each other again, I guess because they're both angsty kids, or college students, I'm not really sure, actually. Spider-Man beats Prowler, and he's like, hey, I'll let you go, kid, because I can relate. And that's the end. The next issue is issue number 80, On the Trail of the Chameleon. Peter gets pissed off because Flash is in his apartment. Well, not his apartment, he doesn't pay jack shit. So the first thing he does is punch him right in the face and showcase to everybody that he has supernatural powers. He's really bad at hiding it now, if you couldn't tell. But it's okay, no one cares because Gwen still likes him, and no one gives a shit that he was just beating the shit out of somebody a second ago, showcasing that he has superhuman strength. They're like, uh-oh, the lady digs. How could you tell? This is bad writing. But it's okay because Gwen and Peter are back together. I hope their relationship lasts. Just kidding, it won't. You see, at the gallery, somebody stole a painting, and Peter suspects that it's Gwen's father. But that makes no sense because he is not a criminal. But maybe somebody is impersonating him, and then a woman faints because every character faints in this universe. Like, what is going on here? You see someone framed Stacy for, well, you already know who it is because he's on the cover, the Chameleon. Spider-Man then remembers, wait, the Chameleon, I remember that jackass. He used to dress up with people for the commies, those damn commies. He also worked for Kraven that one time in issue 14. And then then Stan Lee quotes the wrong issue of Spider-Man. It was issue number 1, you jackass, not 2. So Spider-Man decides to play a very smart move. Crashed a board meeting and immediately ripped someone's head off. Yeah, it's not a very smart move. Because guess what? This guy that he randomly decides to pull their hair is not the Chameleon. I think one of them is, but he has no reason to even do this in the first place. He looks like a gigantic idiot. Oh, just kidding. Turns out none of them were. So he randomly goes there for basically, oh, there might be, well, these guys might be, but instead of waiting, I'm just going to attack them immediately, even though I had a perfect opportunity to study their movements. Things like when he goes outside, wait a second, I know this guy's Chameleon because he's me. So yeah, for some reason, the Chameleon decides to disguise himself as Peter Parker for some reason. I'm not actually sure why. I don't think he even showed up as Peter in the scene beforehand. And, yeah, whatever. They could have done something interesting with this, like, oh, wow, I didn't expect him to be there, but they barely do anything. Immediately, it's, oh, it's Chameleon, and wah, Chameleon sucks. That's the end of the issue. It sucked ass. Speaking of sucked ass, here we have what is probably the worst issue of Big Spider-Man I've read so far. Issue number 81, The Coming of the Kangaroo. The Kangaroo is quite possibly the worst Spider-Man villain. In fact, I thought it was like a Kazar type character where all his characters appeared somewhere else. Nope, this character was created for this exact issue and he's terrible. Design sucks and he just runs like a kangaroo. This guy became super strong because he decided to live with the kangaroos and he jumped like them. What sucks is that as a kid, I made a shitty kangaroo-based superhero, which is a rip-off of Spider-Man, by the way, called Kangarman. He was terrible. He's shit. But somehow, he's better than this terrible character. His tragic backstory is that he hopped so much like a kangaroo that he was able to kill somebody in the ring. So he's like, we gotta arrest this guy. I'm like, you ain't arresting me, punks. And this guy's like, well, since I'm free in a different area, I might as well become a criminal. So that makes perfect sense. So what is this guy's goal? It makes no sense. Not only that, but his supervillain costume is just wearing a shitty vest. It's one of the worst designs for a character ever. You're supposed to make the characters look interesting. I mean, this is a guy who's fighting Spider-Man. He looks like this. It's so fucking lame. Make him look like have a weird kangaroo suit. Do something. Oh, Aunt May's back from Florida. She thinks that Peter's sick. Oh, I gotta take care of you. He's like, well, I must let her because she's like a mom to me. And if it makes her feel, it doesn't make any sense. Aunt May can be this fucking dense. He looks perfectly fine. He just sits there like, uh-oh, I guess I have to stay here because Aunt May. We'll be fine if he actually was sick. Like one time I think he was sick, pretending to be sick, and it's like, oh, so I have to pretend like, oh, I guess I got myself in the situation. But no, here he's just like, oh, I guess she must think I'm sick. You know, he's not sick. Is Aunt May that fucking stupid? So the kangaroo strikes using the power of being a man. I don't even understand his power sets to this day. So he's like, well, I gotta stop this evil menace known as the Kangaroo. It's not even a good name, the Kangaroo. Get the fuck out of here. He's like, I'm gonna put this dummy. Hope Aunt May doesn't check underneath the curtains or the bed sheets. So Spider-Man fights the Kangaroo, but he has to be careful. He's holding a very expensive vial of some chemical thing. I'm not even sure. It doesn't really matter. Oh, spoiler, Aunt May passes out again. What do you expect to happen in these stories? She sees the web dummy, and then she has a heart attack. Well, this Aunt May the Aunt May in this point in the book is just so uninteresting to watch or read about. Not watch. I'm gonna say watch. You're watching this. I'm reading this. So yeah, he easily defeats the kangaroo, and he comes back like, oh shit, Aunt May passed out again. Oh no, she had another heart attack. The funny thing about these storylines is that they know it was bad, and that one of those terrible Brand X storylines, Stanley quickly admitted that he writes Aunt May terribly, and he keeps doing it. Like, come on! But once again, it's okay because, well, he lies to her. Oh, and he's bad because, I lied to her! This issue sucked. Spider-Man decides that he's going to go to network TV to get a position. But, like, oh, I've never done that before. I don't even need to explain that Stanley doesn't know the issue number when the Chameleon came out, so of course you wouldn't remember the fact that Spider-Man started on the fucking TVs. And the first appearance, facing Fantasy 15, and then even Spider-Man number 1 he tries to, but he can't. And now he's like, oh, I can do with this. And they say yes, even though he's all dirty, because for some reason he's swimming through pipes. And it was like accidental, but it was so incidental, like I don't even think why they made it into the actual storyline. The next issue is issue number 82. This could be an interesting storyline because, you know, we have Spider-Man on TV, and we'll have him do some interesting, but unfortunately it goes nowhere. Because we get the return of a Spider-Man villain, Electro, who, up to this point, you've only ever seen him twice, which is kind of shocking. Again, shocking, because Electro is considered one of the big Spider-Man villains, right? He was in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is a terrible, terrible movie. But yeah, no, he's only appeared in issue 9 and then annual number 1, which was a long time ago at this point. Yeah, so they're actually going to do something interesting with this character, but unfortunately it doesn't only last one issue for some reason. When reading this issue, because of all this setup, I thought, oh, we're going to have like Electro storyline, which makes sense. They haven't used this character in a while. And they have a cool, interesting backstory where he's on parole and he's kind of pissed off at Spider-Man. And he kind of can't do anything about it, but he's like, hey, maybe if I beat Spider-Man under the guise of the law, I don't have to worry about that and he can get some cash back as well as revenge. Which I think is actually an interesting idea. Unfortunately, it only lasts one issue, and it's rushed to hell. There's also one point where he goes to the laundromat wearing a mask as Spider-Man to watch his costume. But it's like, oh, they won't know it's me because it's swirling. But they will know it's you because you're right there in the most obvious way ever. I don't understand this scene. This is the first appearance, I guess, of the bombastic bag man, but I don't get it. Why wearing a bag? It's not like he needed this in a hurry. He didn't say that. I need to watch this hurry. I gotta use my spider powers, but I gotta disguise myself to wash my costumes. He got dirty. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand. This could have worked if they did anything else. It somehow... why? They did this better in the Spider-Man movies. Twice, by the way. I don't understand why he's wearing a bag over his head. I know later on he's going to have a bag over his head in the Fantastic Four outfit. But here, I don't know why he does it. Does he need to do it this fast? Probably not. Where's your other costumes? I thought early on he had multiple two costumes. Now he only has one? Like, what the fuck's going on here? Fuck me. Fuck me in the ass. After getting his clothes washed, which is apparently a difficult task, he goes to get interviewed, and they ask him a question. He's like, fuck that question, and immediately it's over. Honestly, that could have been such an interesting concept, as having Spider-Man on a talk show. I didn't know probably they would do that later on, but we had to have a shitty fight, so here he goes. But no one can even see the fight. The fight lasts very short times, and has no impact. The Electro just walks away, and then Spider-Man cries, little bitch, and that's about it. All those interesting concepts, actually using Electro as an actual villain, making it so we can actually understand. So, you know, this character that was introduced a long time ago, it has an interesting, weird-ass costume, but interesting power set. It actually interesting motivation to fight Spider-Man. Interesting concept of Spider-Man going to a talk show. All that's thrown away because we had to have Spider-Man wash his fucking clothes. Fuck this. The next issue is issue number 83, which is the last story arc of the story. At least this one isn't bad, from what I remember. Well, I remember. I just read this. The interesting thing is, I saw someone, I swear, said this, that I like reading Spider-Man from issue 80 and up. Well, the first couple of issues of 80, at least 81 was one of the worst issues of Spider-Man of all time, so I don't know what that person was thinking. Like, what do you mean 80 to 150? Like, I haven't got later past that at this rate, but seriously, so far the early 80s have been terrible. Anyway, we got a new character, the Schemer. The Schemer wants to take out the Kingpin. Yeah, remember the Kingpin? He kind of drove away like a little bitch that one time. Now this guy wants to take him out with a new crime family. This issue is interesting because it introduces the fact that Kingpin, you know, Fatso here, that I'm not calling him Fat, that's what Spider-Man calls him, has a wife named Vanessa! That was a Daredevil TV show reference, if you didn't know that. And yeah, they're crying because their son died in the Swiss Alps, and yeah, and she doesn't expect her husband's in crime. Also, Peter's like, oh, I can't afford hospital bills. And the doctor's like, you know your aunt has Medicare, you dumbass. He's like, oh, shit, I forgot. So, yeah, the whole money problem thing was worthless. But they're like, oh, we need to write something else. He needs to have money to buy Gwen a present. Oh, it's such a lame idea, by the way. Because I don't give a shit about Gwen Stacy in this book. She's not an interesting character at all. This is the girl that will kiss Flash Thompson on the lips just to make Peter jealous, because she's a bitch, I guess. I don't fucking care. Mary Jane's better. I find it funny that her outwardly display of affection to his rival, he doesn't give a shit about that, but when he just talks to her about nothing, he goes, fuck you, I'm gonna push you against the wall! The writing is so bad. I was like, it's the same writer. I know the artists do some of the writing because they draw all the pictures, the Marvel method, but Stanley, you've been writing the Spider-Man comics since '62. Why is the writing getting worse? I'm just saying, I'm actually sad that I can't wait for him to stop writing. R.I.P. Stanley, I guess. You create some great characters, but writing in your end of your Spider-Man run has been terrible. One of the Schemer trucks, by the way, crashes and almost kills them, but Peter knocks her out of the way, and guess what? She passes out, because what else would happen? I guess she passes out so that no one can know that he's Spider-Man. At this point, I'm like, the most interesting storylines we had in the most recent Spider-Man stories is with the Green Goblin, because he knows his secret identity. I feel like at this point they should at least have one other character actually know his secret identity. That could be the least interesting. That's why they always appear in the movies, at least at some point. I know they get a little dramatic at some point in the MCU movies, like everybody knows secret identity. But you gotta at least have one character so you have something to bounce off in his personal life. But here, it's just always tedious. If Gwen knew, at least there'd be some dynamic there, but there's like nothing. There's nothing there. So she's in the hospital because, I don't even know, she died of shock? Because she didn't get her head hit. Peter's the one that had to block the whole weight thing, so I don't know why she passed out. So he goes to fight the Schemer, pissed off that his girlfriend got attacked. And I would say, oh, that's a good dynamic. She almost dies there, but no, not really, she doesn't. Later on, you'll see that because he didn't immediately go to the hospital, he was there and helped her when she got hurt. She's like, fuck you, you weren't here 5 minutes when I got in the bed, you're here now. Even though you're probably doing something, like, fuck you, and I'm also not dying, I just passed out, because every character just passes out. And that's the end of this issue. Fuck me. Next issue, issue 84. The Kingpin is pulling some carpets, I guess, and that makes Spider-Man trip because, you know, like, well, I don't even understand what the hell's going on there. It's drawn nicely, but the concept is just ridiculous. So you think Spider-Man would be mad that Gwen blew him off again, like, oh, my life sucks, or maybe you should start dating another girl. How about Mary Jane? She doesn't seem to care about you going off. But, uh-oh, she's not steady or some bullshit like that. Fuck you, Spider-Man, you have terrible taste. Or Stan Lee Spider-Man, that is, because later on they were like, fuck Gwen, we'll make him date Mary Jane. Those writers know what's at. Anyway, he's like, I need to get money, so I'm gonna get the schemer in, because I can buy Gwen a gift. Ugh. So Spider-Man in the snow is wondering, where is the fucking schemer? Unfortunately for him, he can't find it, and he thinks about Gwen in the clouds, and she's still pissed at him, because why wouldn't she be? She's always pissed off at him. They barely have any time where they're actually bonding or something. It's always like, you ditched me, you're a wuss, you're a coward, or something like that. Like, she's such an unlikable character. At this point, Peters becomes a dipshit, like, doing the dumbest things to hide his identity. And the reason he kept his secret in the first place was because of fucking Aunt May's fragility. But for the rest of these people, I don't know why he keeps hiding it from them. He does the nth degree. Like, he wastes a perfectly good cup of hot chocolate here. You're wasting the hot chocolate! The schemer decides that after this run-ins with Spider-Man, he's going to go after his main target, which is the Kingpin. So, during the snow, Spider-Man and the schemer have like a little chase, run about against each other, and, you know, all that stuff. Though, of course, Spider-Man gets mixed involved in all this crap. And then Kingpin wraps him up in carpet, I guess, because Spider-Man's weakness is carpet. Spoiler, it's not. Kingpin is also pissed off that the schemer got away because he wanted to kill the schemer, and Spider-Man helped it. So he's like, I'm gonna run away like always, you fucking jackass. Last issue of The Secrets of the Petrified tablet. So we get more Gwen and her dad bullshit. Actually, I like her dad. He's a cool character, but Gwen I don't like in these comics so far because Stan Lee can't write women to save his life. Other than Mary Jane. She's purposely trying to write her to be as undesirable as possible, but she ends up actually being an actual interesting character, so you're fucking terrible at writing women, Stan Lee. Fuck you. No. Alright, so, yeah, these characters are like, how do you get pictures of Spider-Man? Because he wants to know. I looked at this since he met Peter, he knows he's Spider-Man, which will get revealed in the next book, but, yeah. But he's like, I gotta hide again! And here's what he decides to do. He decides to run away like a little bitch, dress up as Spider-Man, come in and say, I'm trying to kill Peter Parker. Not only like he says that, but he owes me money. Like, what the good is that gonna do? It makes you even more obvious, you idiot. And Gwen gets scared, like, fuck you, Spider-Man. Remember when he was dating Betty and he was gonna say, I'm gonna tell her that I'm Spider-Man. Maybe that'll help strengthen the relationship so I can help explain stuff. Well, he never does that with Gwen and every time, and for no reason. Like, she doesn't hate Spider-Man. I mean, that could easily help his relationship there, explain himself. He claims to love, quote unquote, love this girl. So why doesn't he? The only person he's worried about is her dad, but not really. Her dad's actually a cool guy, so it's not that matters. He pretty much already knows, I guess. The person he's really scared of is, well, the fucking Aunt May having a heart attack, but he doesn't tell her. He just go all these out of his ways to do stupid shit like this all the time. Fuck me. Anyway, the Kingpin is pissed off at his wife. He might beat his wife, I don't know. It's implications of that because he sees that she let the schemer away and he does not like that at all. Meanwhile, instead of going back to Gwen, her dad, after revealing that Spider-Man wants to kill him, he says, I'm gonna go around doing my Spider-Man stick as usual and just let them wonder where the fuck I am, like a fucking idiot. He's supposed to be smart. This character makes mistakes. I mean, that's how he started off, but it's come to the point where he keeps making these dumb decisions constantly over every issue. It creates a dumber issue for him to face, and it's not even like something selfish, just him not thinking at all. I mean, not even the way anyone would think. Like, I'm gonna throw myself out this window, or I'm gonna threaten myself as Spider-Man. Like, huh? Also, Schemer gets away because of smoke. Lovely. Because now Gwen and her dad are looking for him, because Spider-Man's after him. They're crying, and she's crying now. She thinks he's dead, all because he played a stupid fucking thing again. So Spider-Man brings the Schemer to this police area, but it's actually not a police area, to get a reward. Now, there's another thing where him acting dumb. Now, for some reason, he goes to this location. It's not a police headquarters, it's above apartment. He's like, wait, this is not the police station. Oh, you think? Shouldn't he know what a police station is? He's Spider-Man. He's looking around the city all the time. He probably delivers criminals there multiple times. Now he's like, oh, wait, this is not actually a police place. This is a fake police officer. It's probably the Kingpin. Well, it's not that great of a scheme for Kingpin. I mean, it hides its tracks a little bit, but the fact that Spider-Man couldn't figure this out is fucking pathetic. So Kingpin has Spider-Man trapped in a net as he confronts the schemer. Now, if you can tell from what I'm talking about, most of the problems I have are not with the Kingpin storyline, which is actually, I think, good. Not great, could have done better. But all the Spider-Man stuff that Peter does is so dumb, and he just seems like a complete idiot. Now, if you couldn't guess, I think that was pretty obvious. The schemer here is the Kingpin's son. Wah, wah. Apparently, when he was in school in the Alps, he bragged that he has a great dad he was very successful and he admired it. And then he learned that his dad is a kingpin of crime, and he gets all upset about this. He's heartbroken. His idol, his father, is a scam artist. He decides to make himself the schemer just to take down his father, essentially, because he's so embarrassed, I guess. I don't know. He's not that greatest player in the world, but it's something. It turns out that was a mask the whole time. I mean, wow, this photorealistic mask, I'll say that. And this makes the Kingpin faint. Just kidding, he actually goes into shock, which is kind of funny. At least you can, this is different than having, like, oh, I'm fainted, because it's like, oh, it's called have a panic attack. I can relate to that more than fainting. I don't even think I've ever seen a person faint in my entire life. So then, after all this, Peter's like, as Spider-Man, he breaks free. The Kingpin he could easily deliver him back to prison. I know they probably didn't make a better prison for him because he broke out pretty easily the last time. But what he does is like, there seems there's a lot of family drama going on, so I'm just gonna leave him. I'm face bombing right now. Yeah, I know he's going through his own shit, but he's still a incredibly dangerous criminal who killed somebody he knew. Remember in issue 52 or 1? He killed Frederick Foswell. His men did. They probably did even more terrible things. So did his son, for that matter. They definitely all deserve to be in prison, but they have family drama, so I'm gonna leave them the way they are. Huh? Spider-Man, Hero of the Year. These issues in this storyline have gotten pretty bad. As at this point that Stanley doesn't care about writing any interesting things. Before we had interesting story arcs, and when we do get story arcs, they're either pretty ham-fisted and really lead nowhere. Some of the ones that we have seen in previous ones, from the Dr. Octopus one, well, both of them, basically, all of them. Dr. Octopus is great. The Green Goblin, great storylines. Even the first mention, the Kingpin, the Goblin Lives. Even a basic story about a corrupt politician in Spectacular Spider-Man Magazine 1 was great. Here, we get stupid decision after stupid decision. Like, I don't understand why Spider-Man is such a fucking idiot in these last couple issues. During this run of issues, we get villains returning that don't really do a lot, and if they do, they basically don't develop it at all, or they just are basically phoned in. And the new ones are the Kangaroo and Man Mountain Marco, two of the worst Spider-Man villains of all time. I'd take the Wall and Big Wheel over Man Mountain Marco and the Kangaroo any day of the week. From here on out, what I'm going to be doing is this little ranking at the end, where I rank all 19 issues. Well, in this store book, we have 19 issues. So, let's get into it. Yeah, 81 is the worst issue by a mile. Stupid storyline, terrible character. How do you mess up making a kangaroo-style villain? I mean, he's so lame. I don't think it can say anything else. I don't think anyone really likes this issue. Number 18, we got Spider-Man issue number 80. The Chameleon storyline sucks, and Spider-Man's plan is terrible. Somehow the little baby storyline in issue number 1 is better than this, somehow. Number 17 is 76. I think the Lizard storyline was just weak in general. And honestly, I think the second part was better enough to bring tired. I like the older Lizard stories, but at this point, they did nothing new or original. In fact, it felt so dry and stale that it's not even worth reading. At number 16, we got issue 70. Is the only one that I rated a 6 when I read it, other than the 81, oddly enough. I have a rating on my comic app, so it's in the description of my channel, so go check that out and see my up-to-date reactions. I like the cover a lot. I use it obviously for the video thumbnail, but everything else about it I thought was incredibly weak and lame. So yeah, there you go. Then at 15, we got issue 77, the second weak part of the Lizard storyline. The Human Torch stuff was oddly enough the highlight. I think that's weird because there's an angle with the Human Torch I thought was one of the worst Spider-Man storylines, but ironically enough, he actually highlights the highlight of this issue. The rest of it sucked though. At number 14, we got issue 75, mostly because of the dramaticness of this one character that we barely knew dying. I do not care about Silvermane. Okay, we can kill off random old men characters who get really young. It's an interesting concept in general. But as the finale of this random Petrified tablet storyline, it ends on a pretty lame thing. Then it randomly just ties into the Lizard storyline, which is just another milquetoast Lizard story that we've seen a million times. So, overall not a great issue. I just realized I forgot to include issue 73. That's number 13. It sucks. And at 13 to 11, I have pretty much the entire Schemer storyline. The stuff with the Kingpin isn't bad. In fact, it's a highlight and makes it probably from the lower points, but it's at this point that Spider-Man's character just goes to the absolute depths of his stupidity. And like I said, he's supposed to be a smart character. He used to do smart things outweigh his components, but now he's just doing stupid thing after stupid thing, and it kind of pisses me off. So, yeah. Well, I'll go quickly over the next two because they basically have the same. I have the same opinion on those two as well. Number 11 is the first part of the Schemer's 3-part series. Number 10 is the last part. Well, he lets him go at the end, which is really stupid. I think the concept is pretty interesting. Unfortunately, we won't get a follow-up on this because it looks like the next couple issues have nothing to do with this Kingpin storyline, so whatever. Number 9, we got issue 74, which is probably the most interesting part of the Silvermane saga, which isn't really that interesting to begin with, but hey, it has some things going for it. The cover's kind of neat. Number 8, we got issue 71, a pretty basic Spider-Man storyline, but nothing bad. So Quicksilver isn't that interesting of a character to fight, but you know, at the end of the day, doesn't have anything of the weird bad stuff we see in some of the earlier issues down. So this would have been really low in some of the other Spider-Man rankings, but because it's in this run of issues, it's this high. At number 7, even though I complain a lot about this issue 82, there's a lot of interesting aspects of this comic. I just feel like it fails on delivering at the very end. It is the most I've ever been interested in the character of Electro, which says a lot, and I'll give it that. So yeah, even though it falls flat on its face near the end, I think the introduction of the issue works pretty well. Or in the fact he has to get his costume clean. That's so stupid. Number 6 is issue number 72. This is actually a pretty good Shocker. Shocker so far has been pretty lame character, to be honest. Here he actually seems pretty threatening, and the cover is pretty awesome. So yeah, there you go. Number 5 is issue 69. This is when I wasn't going to be aware that this book was bad. I thought, oh, hey, this stuff's kind of interesting, but they don't delve into it. And yeah, it's okay. I guess I don't know what to say. Surprisingly high, but I do think the Prowler character is pretty good, even though Spider-Man jumping out the window is still stupid as hell. This issue 79. It's not that great, but hey, the Prowler storyline was kind of interesting, other than Peter after the complete dumbass. And at number 3, we got issue 68. It's actually not a bad comic. Unfortunately, it doesn't really go much anywhere after this, but it's not a bad setup for what could have been interesting storylines. But unfortunately, they all kind of get rushed, and the Petrified tablet storyline just ends on a cliffhanger, I guess. Not about cliffhanger, not. You know what I mean. I'm not good at talking sometimes. Number 2 is issue 78, the first introduction of the Prowler. Yeah, Prowler's an interesting character. He's actually more interesting than Spider-Man at this point. So yeah, I like that. But, you know, Spider-Man's not the smartest character anymore after this break. I don't know why. He's a complete idiot now, but whatever. And the most obvious thing in the world is Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 5. Well, what do you expect? It's the only one that I didn't complain about. I like it. And yeah, that's it for this Amazing Spider-Man storyline. At this rate, I've talked enough about Spider-Man. I do not recommend this unless you're wanting to read all of them. Only one storyline I think is interesting, so Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 5. If you were to watch this video, you basically got all you really need to know about it, unless you're really into reading everything. The book itself isn't, I'm not sure if it's out of print or not, but yeah, it does have some interesting behind the scenes, like little beta versions of stuff in the back, more so than the other books, which is pretty more interesting than the actual storylines themselves. And I do like that. And you can actually kind of see how messy it kind of was behind the scenes for this era of Spider-Man. But as Spider-Man enters the new decade of the 1970s, and as Stan Lee's run nears the end, and bigger storylines coming, I think I can expect a lot higher quality from here on out. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more of this stuff if you like it. Bye-bye.